Hello, everyone out there in Decipher Land, and welcome to Radio Free Decipher. You like that?
That was good.
Okay.
I'm Kyle, and
I'm Evan.
That's right, and we're ready for a professional and upbeat broadcast today.
That's right. Actually, we're flying solo today. No guests because
everybody's too busy and something like that.
But we have plenty of news to impart, and I'll let you start.
Well, first I'd like to apologize for last week's show.
The whole derailment?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it was a lot of fun. But
you know what?
It was pretty crazy.
If you're disappointed, then I think you really shouldn't be listening to RFD because that's what it is.
It's a disappointment.
Thank you for twisting my words. No, you listen to it because you either like us or you don't. Because if you just wanted the facts, I mean that's.
We have nuggets of good information now and then, but this is all about having fun.
This is all about the presentation. This is like going to a classy restaurant listening to RFD. You know, if you wanted good food, you'd go to the Sizzler or something, or if you want a
the Sizzler is good food.
Well, if you want a foo-foo platter, then you go to Shakey and eat pancreas.
Sure, this is the Taco Bell of the CCG and TCG industry.
So, anyway, now that we've given you 19 metaphors and a reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, let's go to the news.
All right. The starter decks for Realms of the Outlaws.
Oh, very nice.
That was my Zoolander reference. That was released on
Wednesday
of this last week. So
I opened starter decks here today.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my very first personal cards from Realms of the Outlaws. I got one of each of the starters. I got
the Aragorn.
Yeah, I got the Arwen, the rare Arwen.
Oh, that's good.
That was good, but fun stuff.
So they're out there now?
There's a lot of games around the office about, is this elf male or female? Fortunately, the game doesn't require you to know, but there are definitely some
speculation.
on-the-fence elves.
Yeah, Pat. There are a lot of Pat elves. Anyways, so that's good. Check out your local retailer to get those now. So they're on sale.
Very cool. Now, how did the pre-releases go?
Pre-releases were very good. We had lots of really good reports from a lot of them. People getting their alternate image Legolas's and having a lot of fun getting foils and all kinds of stuff. And you can see all the fun on eBay right now. A lot of people obviously went straight there to try.
Well, geez, over 100 pre-releases. That's bound to generate a lot of eBay traffic.
That's right. So, but it was a lot of fun, and everybody had a real good time. And we're starting to get a lot of reports in and photographs and stuff. So, probably look for a lot of those reports to go up on Decipher.com in the near future. Probably DGMA.com as well. So
cool.
Yep, good stuff.
All right, so the next big thing on the horizon, I guess, would be Origins.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week with Mr. Dan Bojanowski, and we have the first of the Premier Series tournaments there, $5,000 purse, $2,500 for first place.
That's so cool.
And everybody gets a shirt. Dan released that on RFD.
He didn't say what was on the shirt, did he?
He didn't say that, so
shirt.
I'm not going to say it either. I kind of know one of what it would be, but a general idea of what it's going to be. But it's going to be really cool, and everybody who enters the tournament and I think stays for at least a portion of the tournament is going to get one of these T-shirts. So
definitely don't miss that.
Yeah, and there's other stuff that I heard Dan talking about the other day, that everybody that enters the tournament is going to get more than just that as well.
Cool.
So Origins.
I'm so looking
forward
to it because I didn't get to go to Origins last year, and this year I do. So fun. Even though my flight is at dark 30 in the morning, and that I'm not happy about at all.
Well, you gotta.
These are the sacrifices.
Sometimes, so,
I do suffer for my art, man. Anyway.
Yeah, but you get to go to.
I know. Anyway, so what else?
Let's see. Well, that was Origins. World Cup update.
I guess we should, before we move on, say the dates for Origins in case people don't know.
Yeah, it's the first weekend of July, July
4th through the 7th, I believe it is, in Columbus, Ohio. So, if you're in the general area and don't have your plans yet, it's not too late to make them. So.
Yeah, that's right. And there will be booth babes. again.
The world famous from last year's con.
Well, one of them from last year is coming back, and then we have a new person as well. So
now I did get to go to San Diego, and I think there
were
different people, but they were very nice.
So it should be good.
Check that out.
Anyways, on to the World Cup update. The newest standings went up this last Monday.
I heard that the U.S. Was losing ground.
Yeah, the U.S. actually. Well, they're still in first.
Right.
But
and they personally only dropped like a point.
They
or something
dropped.
Like that?
Yeah, the Team USA dropped 1 point in ratings points. But everybody else kind of caught up with them.
Yeah.
The UK Team UK is now only 15 points behind Team USA.
And they gained something like, what was it, 50, 70 points?
They gained 67, I believe, somewhere around that number.
That's a really good stride for those guys.
Huge, yeah. The other two really surprising countries were Spain and Slovakia.
And each of them
jumped up 141
That is so
rating points.
Incredible.
Well, Slovakia was a new team last month.
And now...
So things are going crazy in Slovakia. There must be a lot of stuff going on over there, tournaments all over the place. And Spain as well. So
the real story in this update of the standings is good job, Europe.
yeah, Europe did a really good job this year, and the U.S. not so good.
Nice.
So, but they're still first. And you got to remember that rating, like what your ranking is overall is really important because that determines what matchups you go against. And remember, if you come up against a team that's higher rated than you, that has a higher seed than you, they get to start determining matchups and stuff against you. So, like the higher teams, let's say Team USA versus Team Canada, for instance. Team USA right now is a higher ranked team, so they would get to determine the first matchup within their pairing.
Which of their three players was
which of their
face
three
which
pairs?
of the three.
So they could put their worst member against the other team's best member to try and skew it. So then their other two good members, and there can be research that's done. I mean, the people who are on Team Poland can do a lot of research and find out what the other people's play styles are like and what all that kind of stuff. So they can try and figure out matchups and stuff.
So there is a substantial metagame at work
there
here.
Is substantial, and I don't think anybody's really started thinking about that.
It is a little early yet. I mean, the standings are going to be updated several more times before.
Actually, only once more.
Only once more.
There will only be one more update before the final teams come out.
So there will be an update, and then another period, and then whatever it is at the end of that period, that's it.
So that means there's basically only a month and a half until the cutoff date to make your national team. So I don't think people have really kind of grasped that either. They only have basically 6 more weekends to go out there and get as many ratings points as they can to try and make it onto their national team.
But if the last update is any indication, there's still plenty of time for one of those European countries to knock U.S. out of the top spot.
That's right. And there's still plenty of time. I mean, look at Spain.
Right.
Spain jumped up 9 positions on the chart this last month. They went from 17th or 16th to number 7. So I mean that's huge, and that's going to help them in the long run, in their matchups as they go through. So.
Okay, so this is all in anticipation of remind people when and where the World Cup will be run.
It is the third weekend of October in Essen, Germany, at the Essen Game Fair.
So don't let that little 4-month window fool you. You really only got about 6 weeks to focus on
You don't have that much time left. Go out there and start, playing and getting those rating points now, especially those of you that are toward the top. In addition, remember, all the people that make it into the top 100 players in the world that don't make a national team will be put into a lottery draw that we're going to do here on a special edition of RFD
to create
the two sanctuary teams, Team Rivendell and Team Lothlorien. So, even if you don't make it the top 3 on your national team, there's still a great chance that you can get on a team for Germany to play over there.
All right, so let's have one more bit of Lord of the Rings news before we turn to Star Trek.
Sure. Contest number 5. It's over now.
Now, this is the giant puzzle that Jeff Snyder wrought.
That's right, and so many people had such a good time with that, and we are looking at possibly doing some more in the near future. But the submission deadline is now over, so it is now my job to go through the 1,300 different entries
very nice.
and determine which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect. Now, there are some things I can do without having to open them all, because the subject line has which skirmishes you're doing in which order. So I can go through and say, okay, well, if skirmish B happens before skirmish F, then that's an incorrect entry. If skirmish H happens before skirmish B, then that's an incorrect entry. If skirmish A or whatever happens, A or B happens before F, then I can throw those out. So I can go through and eliminate a lot before I even have to start opening them all up.
Were there people on the boards that were like tossing red herrings around? Just coming on there and like, oh, don't forget to pay attention to Elbreth's text.
I don't think there were people doing that, but I think there were people definitely trying to steer some people in the right direction that were having a hard time. I mean, I've looked at probably about 300 of them so far, and out of those 300, probably about half of them are correct.
Well,
so there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of correct entries. I mean,
so do you think that many people actually figured it out on their own, or is this, do you guess, pretty heavily influenced by people giving the solution away?
I think a lot of it has to do with. Well, we gave them a week to figure it out.
Right.
So I think half of it is the amount of time that people had to look at it. I mean, I was watching the bulletin boards, and people were saying, it took me a day and a half, but I finally figured it out.
Right.
So I think people were actually figuring it out on their own. But I think some people probably, there is a percentage of people that probably wouldn't have been able to figure it out if they had not gone on the boards and gotten hints.
So you people that gave the answers away realize you only hurt your own chances to win this contest.
That's right. Win those the uncut sheet.
Tisk, tisk.
But hey, that's fine. It's all fun and good, and it's just But
what a giving bunch of players we have.
Yeah, that was very generous.
To give somebody else uncut sheets like that. Man, I love you guys. Anyway,
but we will be posting the solution next Wednesday as well as the people who won.
Cool.
So
the solution to the puzzle. Okay.
It was a really well designed puzzle, and it tripped some people up for quite a while, and I think that's really cool. So
nice,
good stuff. Well done.
It was tripping people up in the office, too. There were a lot of people around the office that were banging their heads on that for a while, too.
Well, at the same time, too, we didn't have a lot of time to go and look at it. We were just kind of like, I got to go back to work. I can't think about this right now. I got to focus on what I'm doing. So.
Oh, that Jeff. Those play testers.
So we're looking at doing another one. Cool. So hopefully we'll make it a little bit tougher this time. He's got something going on with Orc Bowman.
Don't spoil it, man.
He's got something going on with Orc Bowman, and it's like that's terrible because every time an Orc then a Sauron Orc or whatever wins a skirmish, they get Strength plus however many Orc Bowman or not. I'm sorry, not Orc Bowman. Orc banners.
Right.
So it's just
it's going to take
it's a mathematic nightmare.
Well. It's going to take him some time to put that together, I would imagine.
From what I understand, he's already got it together. He's supposed to be showing it to me here in a little while.
Oh, jeez.
So I can find out,
nice,
judge it and find out what's going on. So.
Okay. So as promised, thank you for your patience. Some news on Star Trek. As hopefully you all know by now, new version of the PDF decks went up yesterday. We did get Paramount approval for that. This is version 7.1 of the rules and version 2.x of the cards. You will find cards in there that are labeled 2.0, 2.1, and 2.2, I think. That simply means that after deciding that card was going to be in that deck, it may have been revised 0, 1, or 2 times. Little subtle tweaks or whatever. There is a little note on the page where you can download these decks that kind of describes what we focused on in this revision. Hopefully you all read that, but, maybe you didn't, so let me kind of summarize here. First of all, Starship Combat has been adjusted to make greater demands on military characters, which are now called crew members instead of crew. Hopefully this will help with the singular, plural, confusion. Sure. It requires more military crew members than it does energy. So you're going to find that if you're really running a battle-heavy strategy, you've got to put in military crew members. Makes sense. Good story. And it also will prevent affiliations that are not as flush with military crew members, such as Next Generation and Ferengi, from engaging in heavy battle strategies, which I know will also promote better story, which should please some people. We have added a new mechanic that creates we call it a systemic function for diplomacy crew members. Conditions are no more and have now become agendas. They do multiple things for you. They kind of help you generate some more energy. So now we've got a strong reason why you want to play those on top of whatever their game functions are. And then there's a new concept called dominant, which you've probably read in the rules by this point. Whoever has the most agendas in play starts getting some extra kickback from some of their agendas that they have chosen to play. So there is definitely a push to have agendas. Agendas always will require that you order some diplomacy crew member to put them into play. Therefore, that creates a real competition for diplomacy crew, and now you're going to have that too. This is going to be a competition between the players that does not in any way involve battle directly. It's kind of an indirect competition.
It's a diplomatic battle.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that will please some people that were looking for interaction that's not based in starship combat. Totally a fair request, and so we tried to honor that. We found that a very interesting aspect of the game here. I mean, you really don't want to throw away too many ordering, of people, because then you start losing victory points. And yet, if you don't, you fall behind in the agenda race.
Right.
And then also, I mean, an agenda generates energy for you, so it's helping you pay supply costs for keeping crew in play. So it's just this nasty little web of what's the best decision, and really pretty cool. You'll see some reduction of the amount of energy you generate, and then that gets offset somewhat as you put more agendas into play. So what you're going to find now is there's a little bit more of an escalating curve as the game gets on. In the first turn or two, there's not as much that you're going to be able to play as in later turns. Now, supply costs will start to kick in, but you'll also start to have agendas that are paying for those supply costs, which means you're basically using all of your energy to continue to put out more guys. So you should see a little bit more of a curve. Fewer options in the early game, more options in the late game. What else? Hazards have been temporarily removed from the decks. This is just a temporary thing because these changes to the combat and the agendas and dominant, that all really kind of mucked up the game balance in new, fun ways, but new ways. And so having hazards in there too, which already were an element that we were well aware was not quite working right. It was just too much. And, it's like any time you try and solve a problem or put something together, you can't change 5 things all at once, because then you'll never know which one you changed that wasn't right. So we decided to pull hazards out just for this iteration and test the other working parts before we put hazards back in.
What about the science area?
Well, science is going to have some interesting things going on that may not be readily apparent in this draft. We are going to, for starters, there may now be a subtle indirect pressure to focus on science because military now has something it does and diplomacy now has something it does. Science doesn't have anything that's directly pulling on you to order those guys, which means many times you'll be able to bring the full force of all the science people you put into play into winning a challenge. So now your motivation to put science in your deck may well be that this is perhaps the easiest way to get points if your opponent didn't focus on science.
There you go.
So there's that subtle pressure. In addition, we are planning to have other game functions that, no broad mechanics at the moment in the way that Dominant is for diplomacy, but little things that you can do with your science guys, like, for example, we have a concept being considered, I think it's codenamed like Reclaim right at the moment, but the notion is, if you're familiar with Star Wars and know what a used interrupt is, this is the same thing.
Okay.
We'll have event cards that do their thing, but then you can turn around and order a blue guy when you play the card and then put it on your exhaust pile rather than put it in your discard pile.
Got it.
And so we may be pursuing a short list of maybe 2 or 3 things like that blue can then turn around and do as well. So we're trying to get all of those elements in there and try and create all of those different competitions that are both combat-oriented and non-combat oriented. And then once all that is locked down, then we'll kind of look back at hazards and say, how can we make this work? And we've actually got some pretty good ideas on the board right now, but again, those are larger changes than we kind of wanted to implement at the time.
Sure.
So there you go. A lot of information,
Yeah,
I hope.
good stuff.
And probably a lot of dialogue has been generated on this on the BBS since we recorded this broadcast.
That's right. So, I look forward to going in there and checking all that out and see what people are saying about it.
Do check out the special event board, and please, as you did before for version 1, post results from your play tests and your thoughts and how the games go, because as I hope you will see from this iteration, the stuff that you post makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you may look at the rules, because we highlighted everything in red in the new rules document that's changed since 6.2.
Okay.
There's not as much red as you might expect. A lot of these changes happen because of the way the cards work now, not because of massive changes to the rules. Like, for example, if I didn't tell you that agendas and dominance were a diplomacy thing, you might not know, because it's not like the rules tell you every time you play an agenda you must order a diplomacy crew member. The cards tell you that.
Got it.
So there is more changes now than may first meet the eye. So give it a try and see how the flavor is different, and let us know.
Okay.
So there you go. It's all part of our mandate to try and implement as much as we can through cards and not through rules. So there's not this major overhead for you to get into the game. So.
Got it.
Now that I have bored you to death with technical mumbo-jumbo.
Not at all, although you did use some words in there that I'm going to go look up in the dictionary.
Nice.
So, no, just
Thank
kidding.
you.
But, very informative, and I can't wait to play.
Very cool. So I guess that will wrap up this broadcast.
By the watch on the wall, that tells us it's time to head out.
Okay.
So have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening.